Welcome to The Explainer. There's this story that's been bubbling up in the crypto world, one that's getting really hard to ignore. And the question is pretty simple. Are Indians really piling into Bitcoin? You see the headlines, you hear the buzz, but the real story, well, that's a whole lot more surprising.
So it all kicks off with this wild claim that's been making the rounds online. The idea is that India now holds the world's second biggest stash of Bitcoin, right behind the United States. We're talking about a hoard of nearly 1 million coins.
To put a number on it, that's a mind-boggling $120 billion worth. That would mean over 5% of the entire global Bitcoin supply is in India. Now, a number that big, it sounds almost too good to be true, and let's be honest, it probably is.
There's no hard blockchain data that can prove that exact number. But, and this is the part you really want to pay attention to, the buzz itself points to something very real. There's this growing sense that more and more Indians are warming up to Bitcoin, and there's actual measurable data to back that up.
Okay, so let's start on the surface. If we just look at the public data, does it really look like there's some kind of nationwide crypto boom happening?
At first glance, yeah, it really does. According to the 2024 Global Crypto Adoption Index from Chainalysis, India is #1. And this index, it isn't about which country has the most money invested. It's about grassroots adoption. Everyday people actually getting involved.
So, what's everyone buying? Well, data from the big Indian exchanges shows one asset is the absolute clear favorite: Bitcoin. It's consistently the most held and most traded crypto in the country. It's the biggest slice of the pie in the average portfolio.
So it seems pretty simple, right? #1 in adoption, millions of owners, Bitcoin is the top pick. Looks like a massive, widespread movement. Case closed? Not quite. This is where the story gets way more interesting.
To get to the truth, we have to ask a much better question. Who is really doing the buying? Because when you follow the money, a completely different picture starts to emerge. A picture that's all about the concentration of capital.
And this, right here, is where the story flips. On one side, you've got the crowd, an estimated 90 million crypto owners in India, a huge number. But on the other side, you've got the capital. Data from just one top exchange shows that a tiny group of only 3,500 users is driving almost half of all the trading volume. The crowd is wide, for sure, but the money is incredibly concentrated. And the data on cash flowing into Indian exchanges, it tells the exact same story. Over the past year, the value coming from these large professional-sized transactions has just completely dwarfed the amount coming from smaller retail-level trades. It's not even close.
So what this really means is that we're not looking at one big, uniform crypto boom. What we're actually seeing are two totally different groups of investors with two completely different mindsets. One group is seriously chasing returns or alpha, and the other, they're just experimenting.
For the high net worth individual, the HNI, this is a serious strategic move. They're making a calculated allocation, maybe 1 to 5% of their net worth, into an asset they see as a global play with high upside. But for the average retail investor, it's a totally different game. It's more of an experimental, why not kind of bet, usually with much smaller amounts, the kind of money you can afford to lose.
So why are these wealthy investors getting so serious about it? Well, for one, they have access to global advisors and networks that are already deep in this space. They see the numbers, that Bitcoin has crushed pretty much every other major asset class over the last decade. And with all the global uncertainty and a lot of extra cash looking for a place to get returns, Bitcoin starts to look like a really interesting, if risky, bet.
For the retail investor, though, there's a lot of friction. There's a punishing 31% tax on any gains, which is a huge turnoff if you're trying to invest seriously. So the whole focus changes. It becomes less about portfolio strategy and more about just getting a little exposure, slowly accumulating small amounts. It's about dipping a toe in the water, not really diving in. This quote just nails the difference in thinking perfectly. It says, most retail investors ask how high an asset can go. The more sophisticated ones ask, how much can I make given the risk I have to take? See the difference? One group is just chasing the rocket ship up. The other is running a cold, hard risk-reward calculation. All right, so after peeling back all those layers, what's the real story here? Let's put all the pieces together and see what it actually means. So here's the bottom line. Yes,
Lots of Indians are getting into Bitcoin, but the real conviction and the real capital is all concentrated with a very small group of wealthy investors. For pretty much everyone else, it's a story of casual experimentation, not some deep strategic financial move. But, and this is the big takeaway, despite all these nuances, the signal here is crystal clear. The people with serious money to invest, India's core investing class, they are no longer sitting on the sidelines. They are actively treating Bitcoin as a legitimate asset, and that is a massive shift.
And that leaves us with the big open question. What happens next? Who's going to shape India's Bitcoin story from here? Will big institutions finally jump in? Will policymakers change the tough tax rules? Or will we just see these two tracks, the serious capital and the retail curiosity, keep moving forward on their own paths? That's the story to watch. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.